Good morning, everyone. Everyone can hear me? If you can hear me, tell me in the chat now. So my name is Adi Rojas, and I'm your host for today. Thank you for joining us at another episode of Sprout HR Plus Legal Expert by Sprout in partnership with Australian New Zealand Chamber of Commerce, or ANSCHAM. ANSCHAM is recognized as one of the oldest and most active chambers in the country, and its objective is to support and promote businesses' relationship between the Philippines, Australia, and New Zealand. Okay, just to give you a brief introduction to who we are. Sprout is an HR technology company that helps your company take it to the next level in terms of taking care of your people. We provide systems and support for recruitment, timekeeping to payroll, and analytics. And now we hope to be able to help you lift your team during this crisis. Okay, let's go to the first exciting part of this event. While waiting for everyone to tune in, I'd like to introduce you to the raffle mechanics. Okay, so here's how you can join the raffle. Collect all 3 keywords and get a chance to win a 500 pesos Lazada gift certificate. So basically, we will have winners from you guys, of course, if you participated. Okay, the first one. We need to collect all 3 keywords that will be flashed on the screen throughout the seminar. So I'm going to say the keywords as well so that I'm going to repeat it so that you can write it down. Okay. The second one, follow our official Facebook page at Sprout Solutions PH. Okay. The third one, comment all 3 keywords on the post pin on our page. Fourth, we'll announce the lucky winners at the end of this session. So basically, you will have lucky winners, not only one. Okay. Fifth, we'll be sending the Lazada GC code through email after the session before 3 p.m. So this is really exciting. I hope everyone would participate. Okay. So today we have very knowledgeable attorneys and consultants. Okay. Alert. Raffle keyword number 1 is risk. The first raffle keyword is risk. Again, take note of this one. Okay? So today we have very knowledgeable attorneys and consultants who are here to give you different tips on how to lead your company from outbreak to breakthrough. Prepare your questions for the fireside chat session later. So we will have a fireside chat session later, okay? And ask them anything on your mind with regards to matters concerning our topic for today, which is what? Managing the risk in time of COVID-19, adapting to the new normal. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Reynald Salvador. Mr. Ray Salvador is a seasoned audit and risk management professional with 9 years of experience from various industries like IT, BPO, tech companies, manufacturing, real estate, financial institution, and service companies. He had performed a wide range of engagement from conducting audit and finance, IT, operations, compliance, and taxation, to assisting companies in establishing the risk management procedures, including business continuity plan. I'd like to welcome Mr. Reynald Salvador.
Thanks, AD, and good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. For today, we will share with you how you can manage the risk or uncertainties during this period and eventually help you to adapt to the quote-unquote new normal. So next slide, please. So let me start with the statement, change is inevitable. What matters is your ability to adapt to change. Just like the rule of the jungle, it's no longer about who's the fittest nor the brightest that survive, but those who can adapt to change the fastest. To build a resilient company, you need to foresee and prepare for the inevitable change. History has taught us a bitter lesson of big companies declining or even shut down due to their failure to innovate and adapt to change. Example for this one are like BlackBerry, Blockbuster in the US, and even for Yahoo. And if big companies are not exempt to that, how much more for example, startups or MSME, or also known as micro, small, and medium enterprises. Next slide, please. So let's start first with defining or describing what's the new normal environment now. Next slide, please. Surprisingly, it's not the fifth industrial revolution nor a breakthrough in technology that resulted to a consensus wherein everyone is currently moving to a new normal, but due to a forced transition brought by pandemic, which is COVID-19. And just to align, and also a disclaimer, NEDA recently conducted a public consultation, or they call it crowdsourcing, just last week to define what is the new normal for Filipinos and as well as how we can prepare for it. So for this webinar though, we will use our current scenario and its potential future impact to define the new normal. Example is that almost everyone, except for the frontliners, are currently under home quarantine. And to help the government also to flatten the curve, while of course the business naman to protect the employees from pandemic and ensure business continuity, a lot of companies implement a work from home arrangement or teleworking as part of their BCP. For those who are not frontliners, we also noted a few work exempted companies who were allowed to go out to do essential activities like purchase of food, groceries, or perform financial transaction while strictly observing physical distancing. It was previously called social distancing. Later, we will discuss Later, we will discuss also other impact of physical distancing, especially if it is extended beyond April 30, and how we or your company can manage this. For example, one of the impact of physical distancing is that it resulted to longer lines or queues in groceries, ATMs, and even remittance centers. You've noted that as well, or you can see that as well in the news. Aside from that, it costs us more time to do these activities. Imagine queuing for 1 to 2 hours just to enter a grocery store. That's also one of the reasons why a lot of us turn to digital banking or fintech to do financial transaction online and purchase necessities or groceries through different online platforms. This is for us to save time and also minimize our exposure to COVID-19. And that's it for our current setup. Next slide, please. So our current scenario, aside from it was triggered by a pandemic, is also a result of cumulative actions from our government and from the organization we work at. For the government, one of their key response was to implement the ECQ or Enhanced Community Quarantine, while for businesses, most of them is to activate their BCP. We will run through some of the key programs and policies implemented by the government on the succeeding slides. We've also shared in our previous webinar, it was I think episode 1 and 3, what are the flexible work arrangements and the guidance from the government on how to implement these. For now, let's go to the timeline of key policies implemented by the government on the next slide. Next slide, please. So here's the timeline. Before the community quarantine was implemented, on March 8 pa lang, the government already declared state of public health emergency per proclamation number 922. So by March 8 pa lang, we can also already somehow foresee or assess during this time that COVID-19 will really hit us hard. The question is, how did you or your company respond to this and for the succeeding declaration? A few days after, sorry, I'm speaking too fast again. A few days after the declaration of public health emergency, President Duterte announced the imposition of Metro Manila-wide community quarantine on March 12. I think that was around 8 p.m. effective March 15 at 12 midnight. Just want to share with you in Sprout to ensure that our services is not disrupted. We activated our BCP on the afternoon of March 12. This is to provide us, this was few hours earlier from the declaration of community quarantine. This also gave us enough time. This also gave us enough time to prepare in case lockdown was really declared that day. Apologies if I'm speaking too fast. We'll try to slow it down. Okay. After the ECQ, and on the second day of community quarantine pala, the Luzon-wide enhanced community quarantine was already declared and effective the following day, which is March 17 at 12 midnight. One of the trigger here is that physical distancing was not observed on the first day or March 16, which is a Monday and also a business working day or business day. DOLE also issued CAMP or COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, which will grant affected employees of up to 5,000. We also shared some guidelines regarding this one in our previous seminar in episode 1. Another key policies or act that was implemented on March 25 was RA 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. This act also includes the emergency cash subsidy to low-income households, which is also known as Social Amelioration Program. And just last week, the government declared the extension of ECQ from April 12 to April 30. So these are some key policies and action plans that the government implemented. Next slide, please. Okay. Here are also other programs like mass testing last April 14, although some LGUs already started as early as April 13. Currently, the government, per latest report, can perform 3,000 plus tests per day. They still plan to increase this up to 5,000 to 8,000 per day. Streamline of medical operations and testing centers, CAMP up to 5,000 per affected employee, SAP or ESP. ESP stands for Emergency Subsidy Program. It is ranging from 5,000 to 8,000 depending on the minimum wage for that area. There's also TUPAD or Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa ating displaced or disadvantaged workers program. This provide up to 10 days minimum wage equivalent to maximum of 5,370. There are also benefits given to 4-piece member, food packs and financial assistance to residents of affected area. PhilHealth also subsidized the cost for COVID-19 patients. They also provided allowances and insurance to our health workers. The government also implemented price freeze and measures against hoarding, panic buying, and profiteering. There is also calamity loans available from Pag-ibig and SSS and other financial assistance to individuals. We also have P3 and ERF. P3 stands for Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-asenso, and ERF naman is for Enterprise Rehab Financing. So this will provide financial assistance to micro and small enterprises. For micro, up to 200,000, and for small enterprises is up to 500,000. So per Magna Carta for MSME, micro are those with asset up to 3 million, small enterprise naman with asset up to 15 million, and medium enterprise is for those companies with asset up to 100 million. BIR also extended the deadline. This was also presented in our previous webinar. They've also implemented or there's also a policy to grant grace period on moratorium for loan payment to both enterprise or government agency like SSS and Pag-ibig. DTI also issued just last week, April 4, to grant a 30-day grace period for both residential and commercial rent. For commercial rent, this only covered those for MSMEs. BSP also reduced the reserve requirement by 200 basis points. This is equivalent to 2%. The imposition of travel restrictions and temporary ban on deployment of health professional. This was contested already by our DFA Secretary Locsin and resulted to an adjustment wherein those with active contracts are already allowed to leave the country. And as noted earlier, NEDA also conducted a study of policies needed to help the company adjust to the new normal. As sample of this is the National ID System and National Broadband Plan. Next slide, please. Okay. Let's move now to the risk management. After we establish our current scenario or environment, we can move on how we should manage the risk or uncertainties that may occur and minimize its negative impact. So next slide, please. Here's some definition of terms that will be frequently used moving forward. First is risk. Risk is the effect of any uncertainty on objectives. This also means that risk can be positive or negative. For this webinar, we will use the term opportunity for positive risk and simply use the term risk for negative risk. Next is risk assessment. It is the process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating risk. And lastly, risk management. So risk management naman is the activities performed by an organization to control the risk. Next slide, please. So this is the risk management process per ISO 31000 2018 version. For this webinar, we will focus on the risk assessment and risk treatment part, and the context or scope will also revolve on the events or uncertainties that could happen during this period or in time of COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's start first with identifying the risk. So we will be using PESEL and SWOT analysis. Since most of the factors or uncertainties that can happen or affect our business or objective are triggered externally, for example, policies or programs implemented by the government, we will be using PESEL to guide us in identifying these factors. At the same time, we will also identify the threat of these factors or events by matching it with SWOT analysis. Next slide, please. Pest analysis is the expanded version of commonly used pest analysis. The legal and environmental are the two additional factors in this analysis. For others, they call it PESTEL. They simply switch the sequence of legal and environmental. As noted earlier, this analysis is commonly used to identify the events from these 6 factors that can affect the business. First is political factor. These consider the initiatives or direction of the current political parties that can affect your business. For example, one of the main initiatives of the current administration is the Build program, which will greatly benefit the infra and logistics sector. Another one is the Philippine government close tie with the Chinese government, and this relationship also lead to boom of gaming industry and even affecting the real estate industry due to sudden influx of Chinese citizens and businesses. Another example can be the political stance that can affect the businesses when late DNR Secretary Gina Lopez focused on shutting down mining operations that violated the laws way back in 2016. So the value of stocks of mining companies during that time was also affected. Next is next is economic factor. This considers the effect of interest rate, inflation, taxes, minimum wage, consumer confidence, and other economic metrics. For example, Philippines credit rating was upgraded last year, April 30, 2019, from BBB to BBB positive by Standard & Poor or S&P. Also, it includes the outlook and performance of our stock market, which is PSE. Next is the sociological factor or social factor. This includes changes in lifestyle trends, eating habits, hobbies, ethics, demographics, and culture. For example, for demographics, excuse me, such as 50% of the workforce by end of this year is expected to be composed of Gen Y or millennials and Gen Z, also known as digital natives. Another example can be the eating habits or preferences like milk tea, samgyeopsal, and at one time, the sudden boom of food parks. Other trends like travel goals due to low-cost travel, although unfortunately it's quite difficult for now, fashion trends, and even social media like TikTok, for example. For technological factors, this includes tech trends or innovation like fintech or financial technology. There are a lot of booming super apps now. InsurTech, also there's such thing, and online lending. There's also cryptocurrency and blockchains. We also have software as a service or SaaS, like for example, Sprout Solutions. We also have online stores and other tech companies for delivery and ride sharing app. For legal factors, this includes labor laws, taxation, and other laws not including the political factor. For example, we have Magna Carta for Women, data privacy, and monetary policies issued by BSP. And lastly, for environmental naman, this includes seasons, typhoons, and other issues like earthquake, for example, the big one. Next slide, please. So next is SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This is usually used to identify the internal and external attribute of an event or project to an organization. Since we'll use PESEL, we will match it with the external attributes. We will identify the potential opportunities and threats on every event or uncertainty per factor. And the threats that we are able to identify is also the risk that we will manage later on. Next slide, please. Okay, oops. Before we identify the uncertainties, second keyword muna, which is quarantine. Next slide, please. Okay, let's start with the political factors. So we've provided here some events or uh, activities that can affect our businesses. So we'll identify their opportunities and threats to our businesses. And the opportunities and threats can be different from one company to another depending on our business operation or the industry our industry. First is the extension of ECQ until April 30. With this extension, most, if not all business who didn't have their BCP for this event have already applied temporary or stop of their operation. While for those who have BCP, even if they can maintain their key operations, their businesses is also having difficulties staying afloat or liquid since most of their clients are also affected. The question is, will this ECQ extended beyond April 13th? Based on the President Duterte's third address last Monday, April 13, and also per our assessment, the likelihood that this will be extended is high. As noted in his address, he's willing to lift the quarantine if there's an antibody vaccine available in the market. And this is likely to happen around May 2020. And also there are reports from DOH where in further study, this battle against COVID-19 can last from 3Q this year until January next year. So, well, maybe it may not be an ECQ, but a modified community quarantine, or just go back to community quarantine, which was implemented last March 15. But regardless, based on our experience last March 16, regardless if it's what type of quarantine, since physical distancing will be strictly imposed, this will still affect our transportation. This will affect our and even events that will require or mass gathering events. And this in turn will impact the hospitality, manufacturing, and retail businesses of non-essential goods. This will also can impact those under education and service industry like consulting and outsourcing if we haven't enabled or adapted yet teleworking or remote working. Next is grace period on loan and rental payments. With the extension, this will affect the business and liquidity of those under real estate, financing, and lending companies. Travel restrictions and deployment ban will not only affect those under hospitality and travel industry, but also can affect the manning or recruitment agencies, since most of their clients are abroad or either land-based or not. Next, for the financial assistance provided by the government, I highly suggest you take advantage of the uh, support from the government to help you in your cash position or when you resume your business. There are also other upcoming programs or assistance from the government, like the wage subsidy program and the enhanced NOLCO, wherein the application of NOLCO or net operating loss carryover was extended from 3 years to 5 years. Next, with emotions affected by what's happening currently in our environment, plus factors like delayed deliveries of benefits or groceries and running out of supplies, one of the risks we're also looking at is political instability, both in the national level and also on an isolated level at the certain LGUs. We're also looking at the location where our employees are currently located. Uh, and also what could happen if things escalated. So last item, foreign policies. Since businesses in other countries like in North America, Europe, ANZ were also affected, resulting to millions of unemployment. During recovery, these countries might implement policies that would require these companies to prioritize their citizens. So it can affect the businesses here like outsourcing and delivery centers. Next slide, please. So for economic naman, we've seen a steady decrease in oil prices in the past few weeks. But with the cut in oil production, we're expecting the prices will go up again. But hopefully with the low demand, this can be balanced out and no impact. For policies considered by NEDA, most of these can create opportunities like what we noted earlier, National ID and National Broadband Program. Next is for poor domestic economic performance. This can lead to pull out of investment And there's also a survey wherein 26 of investors will push through with their investment in startups this year. So the rest, or 74%, will opt out or will not continue their investment this year. So we need to watch that, watch out for that. Uh, Also, according to Bloomberg study issued last week, April 8th, there's a 100% chance that recession in the US will happen within the next 12 months. So we need to look out for that as well as to what's impact on our business. We also foresee that there's a temporary high demand to fill IT-related roles, and also a surge of employees naman, or workers, for the service industry or from business affected that opt to temporarily stop or cease to operate. Last item is not surprising to see gold prices to appreciate. Excuse me. Considering the bearish market and the recession that's waiting to happen. So next slide, please. So for social factors, there's panic, discrimination, and travel fears. We've noted this in a few news outlets already. During this period, it's like everyone is sitting on the edge of where another event could result to a heightened emotional response. So it resulted to panic buying, even discrimination to frontliners and their family members, and also to travel fears. Next is security of tenure with how company respond to pandemic. This will also give notion to employees, especially for those key talents, to consider a more resilient company. Physical security and mental health welfare, this is also the same. Both of these factors, if not given importance, can affect your employees' performance. Financial security and literacy, nowadays it is much higher compared to years ago, and with the recent event, most likely people will be more open to investment, especially the emergency fund. Next is the impact of quarantine and lockdown in population. So this is commonly termed as baby boom. We've seen previous cases, pandemic cases, or cyclones that resulted to a lockdown in the US, and it eventually led to 12% increase in live birth. Also in the UK, they are also expecting at least 50% maybe of increase in their population. Last item, social unrest. Just like political instability on LGU level, this can affect our employees located in that area, and though we hope our LGU can manage it peacefully. Next slide, please. Next is factors related to technologies. There were reports wherein average monthly cyber attacks increased by at least 40% starting last February pa. So this is also due to a lot of companies implementing work from home. And since our home network security is much lower compared to our office, these cyber criminals are taking advantage of that. So I suggest you look at your information security as well as your cyber security. And also with the availability of remote work tools like SaaS or software as a service, a lot can still operate business as usual as part of, this is also part of their BCPs. With the quarantine entertainment apps or like Netflix and TikTok, were heavily used during this time as well. And during this period, users of online stores also increased, especially to purchase essential goods. Online stores also and super apps are helpful during this period wherein the transactions are done online, either to fund transfer or pay online bills, to pay your bills online. Tech companies that handle our delivery are also very useful during this period, like GrabFood and other service provider, tech service provider. Just want to note for the digitalization, it is the use of digital tech. Definition of this one is to the use of the digital technologies to change the business model and provide new revenue and value producing opportunities. So with what happened now, a lot of companies are more open to digital transformation and digitalization. So before we can implement that, we should start with digital transformation first. It's more of organizational changes driven by leveraging on technologies that empower and enable our employees to do things more or more efficient, and it also includes doing things remotely. Next slide, please. So for the last two factors, for legal, with the current remote work setup and rampant cyber attacks, I would like to remind everyone of the DPA or Data Privacy Act. We should implement appropriate measure to ensure the information of our data subjects are protected. BSP also relaxed the requirements for KYC and also the labor laws. Next factor, environmental. An example of this is the declining water supply. We are no longer under El Nino since last year, but our water supply in Angat Dam is slowly decreasing. So this can affect not only our current concern with regards to sanitation, but also other businesses that has or reliant to water supply. Though the good news is that although it is estimated to reach the critical level by July, it's already rainy season by that time. So another concern during ECQ is that what if the big one occurs during this period? So we need to prepare, consider that one as well, not only in our BCP, but for the safety of our employees. So next slide, please. So next, as noted earlier, PESEL is used to guide us to identify the external events, but actually this can also be used to identify the attributes internally. So we'll try to match this up. Next slide, please. So here's an example. For first would be on the political factor like ECQ. Internally, we can assess if we are capable already to operate remotely. Like for example, let's look at our current strength or our setup. Do we have a cloud-based application or tools that would enable us to work remotely? And the weaknesses is, of course, direct opposite for that one. Next can be the lack of talents. For example, this can be mitigated if our employees has high confidence level in the management and the company's brand. As noted in our previous webinar, resilience can be considered as a brand of the company. For tech factors naman, we have like cyber attacks. Implementing appropriate cybersecurity and enforcement measures within the organization is definitely beneficial and a strength for your company. Next slide, please. Okay, these are other factors, like for example, the legal, we have the data privacy, and last for environment, as noted earlier, for typhoons. So let's move on now to the next slide for the evaluation. So this evaluation, after we've identified the events or the risks that can harm your business, it's time now to assess and plan how to mitigate the impact. So next slide, please. We will focus on listing down those we've identified as weakness or threats in our company based on the events through PESELs. So next slide, please. So here's the example. You can use it as a reference when you create your own assessment later. We will be sharing this deck naman to all attendees. You can see here that the event, some of these events can also be a risk in itself, but we provided an additional factors like weakness and threats to ensure that we have a more appropriate measure that we can implement in our response. And you might also note here that we have impact rating and likelihood. This is to manage our resources to prioritize those who has high risk rating. So we're working on a very limited resources. So let's prioritize those that can have impact or great impact in our business. So next slide, please. The same with this one, we will be sharing this deck. Next slide, please. And so here are some, again, a few samples for other factors. So next slide, please. The change curve, I would just want to share to you briefly what is this change curve. Next slide, please. Everyone has their own take for every changes that's happening around them, though this theory suggests that by nature, we undergo a common phase when we encounter change. This is from denial to resistance, up to acceptance, and eventually to commitment. And in every phases, there are notable reactions as noted here in our slide. As we can see, the first two phases, which are denial and resistance, are the main blockers to change before we slowly undergo acceptance and commitment. You might ask why is this important. So let's move to next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is the reason why it's called a curve. The arrow represents the company's productivity, and these phases until we reach commitment is slowing down our productivity. So the leaders will play an important role in making sure that their team transition fast from denial to commitment. That's why it's also important to know first at what phase is your member is currently at and implement appropriate measures. So for example, in denial, it's best to have your team realize that they're just delaying the inevitable change. And for resistance naman, you can allow your members to experience resistance and have them acknowledge the change for the best transition to acceptance. In acceptance phase, please note that not all members will enter this phase at the same time, and the leaders should become facilitators during this phase to guide the employees on your team how to move forward in this new environment or change. And lastly, once you enter commitment, well, that would be the time to celebrate. And next slide, please. That's it. I hope I explained it clearly in the span of 30 minutes. If you have any further question, you can raise it on the fireside chat na lang or email us later.
Thank you, Ray, for that informative talk. I hope everyone learned a thing or two, or maybe a lot, from Mr. Ray. Before we continue into our fireside chat portion of our webinar, we have exciting news for you guys. I'd like to welcome our very own co-founder and CEO, Mr. Patrick Gentry, for the special announcement. Patrick.
Okay, I was on mute. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. Thanks, Adi. Thanks, Ray. That was a ton of information in a short amount of time. So good talk. I'm glad that we are able to share some of the expertise that we have within Sprout with a bigger community. I hope you guys find it valuable. I want to talk about something else that we're sharing with the community during this time. And just to give you guys some background, so Sprout is all about HR and payroll technology. We're entering the world of benefits as well with loans, being able to provide employees with access to very inexpensive finances. And what happened when COVID struck was a lot of companies really got paralyzed in terms of being able to get a contract and sign a contract and get payment organized and all of this kind of thing. And companies are really still, super struggling with HR and payroll. So, we were really trying to figure out what to do. And so we came up with this idea of the rescue kit. I think the biggest thing about the rescue kit is that there are no contracts and no payments for 60 days. So all of that issues with signatories and payments and all that kind of thing, we just waived. It is a huge investment on our side because it's not, as you guys know, like implementing HR and payroll is not trivial, and Sprout takes a ton of care with our clients. Every client that we onboard gets an implementation team, and we follow this very involved implementation process where we really handhold our clients through the whole thing. So it's not a light investment, but we feel like it's the right thing to do right now for the community, and we might as well do something because we can. So we really want to. It includes, so just to share a little bit more about the rescue kit, we provide access to BCP experts. You just heard from our head of BCP, Ray. He has an incredible background in this field and has been instrumental in our own BCP and we're now sharing that with our clients. We have an entirely digital activation process. So whereas before COVID, we would kind of do a mix of in-person meetings and digital, now it's 100% digital. So we also have HR, timekeeping, payroll, all included. We provide Sprout loans to employees to give them access to finances. We have the web app for remote check-in, Web Bundy for remote clock-in, and access to this webinar twice a week, where we really try and provide some additional value. So that's the rescue kit in a nutshell. I hope that we can that people can take advantage. You can email us about the rescue kit at info@sprout.ph, and follow up with us there. So I hope to see you guys signing up. I hope we can help. We also have a link if you'd like to sign up online rather than through email, bit.ly/Sprout Rescue Kit. So yeah, I hope we can help, guys. This is a tough time, and we're trying to do whatever we can. More ideas from the audience in terms of how Sprout can help is appreciated also. So talk to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in the rescue kit right now. So this is really exciting for us, and I hope that everyone who wants to actually sign up, and you want to know more about it, visit our social media page. So in Facebook, Sprout Solutions PH, and LinkedIn, Sprout PH, Instagram, Sprout.ph, Twitter, Sprout_PH. Okay, don't forget to sign up at bit.ly/Sprout Rescue Kit. Okay, again, bit.ly/Sprout Rescue Kit. Okay, so for you who wants to contact me, if you have any question, here's my number and also my email. So my email is r@sprout.ph, and my number is 0961-163-3178, and I can actually answer all your questions regarding Sprout Rescue Kit. Okay, let's move forward, and I'd like to announce the third raffle keyword, analysis. Again, our third raffle keyword is analysis. So to recap, the three keywords that we have are risk, quarantine, and analysis. Risk, quarantine, and analysis. Join the raffle by following our Sprout FB page and commenting these three keywords on the pinned post. And I want to say hi to everyone in the FB Live and also people here at Zoom. Okay, so the next portion of the event is our fireside chat. Prepare your questions or type them, of course, in the chat box. So you have a chat box here in Zoom, and you can freely ask us anything. I'd like to welcome back our speaker, Mr. Reynald Salvador. For our second panelist, let's welcome attorney Lester Nazarene Ople. He has 12 years of human resources management experience with progressively increasing scope and responsibility in the IT, BPO, consumer goods, manufacturing, and government sectors. At present, he practices the following fields of law: employment law, contract management, data privacy, administrative law, and family law as an advisor and as an advocate. Our third panelist is the data privacy officer and HR and legal consultant of Sprout Solutions. He has previously worked in reputable law firms and private companies as a labor and tax lawyer, counseling mostly for HR practitioners and company management. Attorney Jay Ryan helps companies address intricate HR and legal issues. Let's welcome Attorney Jay Ryan Trinidad and Attorney Lester Nazarene Ople. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Adi.
Yes, you can start asking your questions using the Zoom chat. Type away. Hello, attorneys. Hello? Yes, I can see you guys now. Okay, hi, Sir Ray. Kamusta po? So basically, we have few questions now. So let's proceed to the first question, if that's okay with you guys.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, okay. The first question. We want to help our affected employees, but our business is also having difficulty in meeting our obligations. How can we help our employees without materially affecting the business's liquidity?
I can answer this one. The
Okay.
government has adopted some measures to help our affected employees like camp and wage subsidy program, and also they can help them avail financial assistance through loan in or calamity loan in SSS and Pag-ibig. Aside from that, some companies can be creative as well or uh, adapt their measures to help their employees financially. For example, here in Sprout, and to those who already avail the Sprout Rescue Kit, they can also apply for a Sprout loan or Sprout loan, and currently we have zero interest. So they only need to pay for the processing fee.
Okay, that sounds really good. Attorney Lester, Attorney J. Ryan, do you want to add?
Yeah,
Adi, can I
we want
also
to go ahead, Attorney
dovetail
Ryan,
on
sorry.
what Ray said? It's very easy for the employers to help their employees. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My internet is really unstable right now. But let me also dovetail what Ray said, that employers can actually help their employees by assisting them and allowing them to access the calamity loans and other loans that are being granted by our government agencies such as SSS, Pag-ibig, to be specific. The only condition that is important there is that we make sure that the employers are always on time in their payments. No, so because this government will look on the records of employers, and if they are okay, the employees can actually obtain loans from them. No, but just in case that the employees are not qualified for those loans, Sprout itself, if they are if they are in our university, they can actually obtain loans through our InstaCash program.
Okay, that sounds good. Attorney Lester, do you want to add?
Yeah, I'd like to dovetail lang, no. By now, the DOLE has already began the distribution of the camp benefits. So hopefully, if you were able to join us on the first few episodes of the Sprout webinar, you would have been able to have the resources to apply to the camp benefit under DOLE. But again, as mentioned by Ray and Attorney Ryan, for companies who are already on the Sprout ecosystem, there's also the InstaCash option, which is a collateral-free loan that is already on the system. So it's a simple matter of activating it on the Sprout through Sprout, and then the employees can have access to that instant cash loan in as fast as 2 minutes. So we hope that with Patrick's announcement that the rescue kit is now available to a broader group of employers, we hope that our colleagues, our members of the community would be able to avail of the Sprout Rescue Kit, and in turn enable their employees to avail of the InstaCash option.
Okay, that sounds really good. Thank you guys for the output. The second one, with numerous regulation issued in a short span of time during this period, how can we ensure that our risk response is also compliant with this regulation? Do you want me to repeat the question? Okay.
They can give a few recommendation for this one. They can
Yeah.
The businesses can consider doing legal compliance assessment or regulation when they're trying to plan or implement measures to mitigate this risk. Though understandably, some of these are highly technical, which will require an expert opinion. So, what additional recommendation can be offer help from a consultant, or for Sprout clients, for example, they can access to our legal expert. We have Attorney Lester and Attorney J. Ryan to answer or guide them with their concerns.
Okay. Attorney J. Ryan, Attorney Lester, do you want to add?
Yes, the first thing that they can do is basically update themselves of the legal frameworks that are currently being in place right now. Almost every day there are new regulations, so if you will just have to check the websites of these government agencies, you can simply check the recent updates there. No, but at the same time, it's also important for them to get access to their legal counsel as well for for legal advice, no? But in case they don't have, feel free, according to Kering, feel free to contact us and we'll definitely assist you on your legal concerns.
Just to dovetail on what Ray and Attorney Ryan mentioned earlier, it's also important that you have access to the correct and updated information. So in particular, I would like to share to everyone, having served the government previously as a civil servant, please bookmark covid19.gov.ph. So it is the official website where the government places all of the relevant issuances pertaining to the COVID response. Please keep yourselves, or rather keep that website bookmarked and visit it regularly. It's actually in my checklist for the day. The first thing that I go to after opening my email is the COVID website. So it's a good idea to keep it bookmarked.
And Adi, I think it's also important for our attendees to be reminded that Sprout itself, we do webinars every Wednesday and Friday. So these are all free. If you guys want to attend, you'll definitely learn a lot from us during this COVID pandemic.
Okay. Thank you guys for the output. Do you guys want to add anything more? Okay, let's proceed. So the third question is, if the ECQ or community quarantine or physical distancing is extended, what measures should we implement to continue our business operation? I think this one is really a good question for everyone here.
To answer that question, first I suggest to review for their BCP if they already implemented one, and assess if this current BCP or program that they implemented is still effective or can mitigate this risk. If not, they can explore using tools that what we've noted earlier in a technological factor like Zoom, for example, emails, or software as an application. They can explore those tools or services to make sure that they will be enabled to work remotely. For example, Rescue Kit, with this one, the payroll system and even the HR system can be done remotely, and even the implementation is done remotely. So it will help them continue their business or the function of this department. And also aside from that, with the Rescue Kit, they can access, or we can also provide them tips or help them implement their BCP.
Okay, sounds really great. Attorney Lester, Attorney J. Ryan, do you want to add?
Yep, for the labor compliance side, I would like to add that it's very important for the human resource departments of companies to be abreast with relevant issuances pertaining to COVID responsiveness. I would also like to take this opportunity to point out that the DOLE has actually been very proactive. The first DOLE issuance regarding COVID was issued January 31st. So as far as Philippine departments are concerned, the DOLE has been, I would say they have been fairly proactive. And even before the COVID pandemic has been declared, there are already available options such as the telecommuting law that was passed last year. It's already an available option for the private sector. If you're able to do what the risk management steps that Ray has shared earlier, if you can identify that your industry can actually accommodate telework or working from home, it's a very good opportunity to shift into that mode of working for the meantime. And it may actually be a more viable long-term solution. You get so many other side benefits. For example, you may have a smaller real estate footprint. Your carbon emissions as a company, as an organization, would be less. And of course, there will be a different set of challenges that teleworking would have, such as, the ability to unplug, the ability to to cordon off working and the home, the actual home experience. So there are different challenges that shifting fully to telework will bring. So it's important that you do risk management to be able to identify and address those risks.
Yes, I agree. Definitely agree. Yeah. Attorney J. Ryan.
Adi, for me, I just want to say that legal compliance is very important in considering your BCP. No,
Yes.
our government is still functioning right now, and of course, that entails that all employers and employees should still comply with the regulatory frameworks. No, having said that, I think it's very practical for everyone to make sure that they know the contact details of these employees, and then
Hello, Attorney J. Ryan. Are you still there in the line? Okay, I think we have a technical difficulty in terms with Attorney J. Ryan. So I think
issues
the
or
attorneys.
concerns.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Attorney J. Ryan, sorry, napuputol po yung connection nyo.
I was just saying that it's prudent for everyone to get in touch with these government agencies just in case they need to, no. Kasi yung iba sa kanila are still in skeletal workforce while others have suspended work until further notice, no. So yun, that's very important because legal compliance is still a requirement under this pandemic.
Yes.
Despite this pandemic, rather.
Yes, I definitely agree on that one. Yes. So let's proceed po to the next question. So during this stressful time, what measures can we implement to help the well-being of our employees and minimize the turnover of our key talents and top performers? Does anyone want to answer that?
Sorry, Adi, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Okay. During this stressful time, what measures can we implement to help the well-being of our employees and minimize the turnover of our key talents and top performers?
I would like to share what we have done so far in Sprout. We have Patrick, with your permission, Patrick has an almost daily YouTube message. It's a very homey feel that you see your CEO that you normally bump into when you're in the office facility. At least there's that presence that is reinforced through a very short YouTube message that is directed to all of the members of Sprout. We also have our mental health awareness seminars or webinars. And we also have, on the departmental level, we have our daily stand-up meetings. And sometimes we also have, this is on the social side, no longer on the work side. We try our best to have sessions on Zoom that we don't talk about work. This is just the virtual kamustahan or inuman, if the department is so inclined. These things may seem small, no, but it does help in terms of addressing the anxiety. The enhanced community quarantine is causing so much anxiety and uncertainty to everyone. And even if people are safely indoors with their loved ones, there's so much uncertainty and negativity. So doing these things as an organization, as a unit, would be very helpful to ensure a sense of normalcy in terms of the work environment.
May I also add, Adi, that people are very social in nature, and this quarantine is really is stressing a lot of employees, especially that you have to work almost 8 hours a day, but just by yourself. So at Sprout, what we did is we implemented a mental health awareness and meditation program. I think we just had our first mental health webinar, and it really helped us address the stresses that are the offshoot of this quarantine. No? So that's one. Also, for financial stresses, I think I'm overemphasizing this, no, but we have an Instacash, meaning to say if you need money, extra money, we can simply go to our system and then get loans in a matter of 2 minutes, as what Attorney Lester said, no. And recently, I think another great initiative that Sprout did is we had our Sprout Pulse and Insights, where we measure the engagement of employees, we measure how organizations are responding to this COVID and how we are implementing the BCP. So I think those measures are really important on how we can assess our responses to the situation.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Attorney J. Ryan and Attorney Lester, for that input. I just want to take note that this is going to be the last question, guys. We're so sorry that we actually ran out of time. So the last question is, Is the rescue kit completely free? I think I can answer that. I am an HR tech consultant, so this is really free, completely free. You can sign up with us for 60 days. So, Attorney Lester, Attorney J. Ryan, maybe Sir Ray, you want to add something about this one, about the rescue kit that we have?
For me, I just want to echo what Patrick mentioned earlier, that this is really our way of being a good citizen in the community. We want to help as much as possible, and because we're also, we're also a startup. Our resources are not as big as the other companies who are mobilizing so many other efforts. But this is our way of helping the MSME community, of which Sprout is a part of. And we hope that with the grant, with the rescue kit, we are able to bring most of our MSME colleagues into a digitization stage where
Yes.
their management teams and their workforce are ready to embrace completely digital processes in human resources.
Yes, I definitely agree on that. Sir Ray?
To add on what Attorney Lester said, this new normal has really hit us hard and realized or make us realize that we need to upgrade how we do things. We need to implement digital transformation to make sure that for any incident or event that would enable us or would not enable us to work at our office, then we can have options to work remotely or teleworking. So one of the way or one of the activities that we can implement is through implementing SaaS or software as a service and other tools that can allow us to work remotely or other flexible working arrangement like work from home. So
Yes.
this would be a good initiative to start and assess for example, for the next 30 days, 60 days rather, to ensure if is it really applicable, how would it affect the business as a whole, and can start your digital transformation.
Yes, that sounds really great. Thank you so much, Attorney Ray, Sir Ray, Attorney Lester, and Attorney J. Ryan. Our time is up for the panel session, and for the questions that we weren't able to answer, please email legal@sprout.ph. Again, email legal@sprout.ph, and we will make sure to answer all your questions. So before we actually close this, guys, we want to know what are the HR topics that you want to conquer the next time. So basically, we have different webinars every week. So we want to know what are the topics that you're interested in. Kindly drop them off in our chat box and we will consider it for sure. Okay. Thank you everyone for participating, and thank you Attorney Lester, Attorney Jay, Attorney Sir Ray, for your input. Stay tuned for the raffle winners of our Lazada GC. Before we end, I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Maricar Gonzalez, Executive Director of our partner event, Anstram Philippines, to give her closing remarks.
Thanks, Aggie, for your kind intro. And hello, everyone. I won't take too long because I know everyone's excited for the virtual raffle that Addy and the Sprout team has prepared. I just really want to thank Sprout for partnering with Ansham in this. From what Ray has shared in his presentation, and of course during the fireside panel discussion, it was also very relevant, and I think that we've picked up a lot of environments and hopefully implement them. So just as a quick wrap up, I just really wanted to say a few words. You know, we've had, I think we're all now on week 4, and to some of us on week 5 of adapting into this new way of working, which, you know, a lot of people call the new normal. Like you and the rest of the members in the chamber, we're all trying to exert efforts to adjust in this disruption caused by the pandemic. These sudden changes have surprised us all, and it's caught everyone off guard. As we all try to respond and adapt to the changes, there are certain variables, like what Ray said, that may no longer work, that could render our previous reactions or responses, they're no longer as effective as we want them to be. So with many uncertainties to consider, from political, economic, social, legal, environmental, the business should have a systematic approach to identify these and respond accordingly. I think Patrick has covered the rescue kit, which I think is a fantastic tool. And I'm sure everyone is excited to grab and take advantage of the 2-month offer that he shared with everyone. Thank you, Sprout, for being so kind-hearted and helping everyone in this time of need, I suppose. So again, we're all going through this challenging, unprecedented times together. And we need each other within our communities to keep each other's interests in mind. For us in the chamber, we continue to provide support to our members through the daily advisories that I think most of you are getting and receiving. I hope that's providing value to you. We've also completed several webinars in the past weeks, and we will continue to do so with partners like Sprout and all of our other member partners. I saw some comments looking out for topics about mental health, agility. We're also going to do something tomorrow on business recovery. So do watch out for those webinars and through our emails, and you can also check our website for the coming topics that we are offering to everyone. So if there's anything that the chamber can do for you, do reach out to us, and we will be happy to have conversations and see what we can do to help. Right? So once again, thank you to my Amsterdam Secretariat for putting this together with Sprout. Thank you, Sprout. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, AD. Thank you to our speakers, Ray. Thank you to Attorney Lester and Attorney Jay Ryan. Thanks to everyone for joining, and have a good rest of the day. AD, back to you.
Thank you so much for that amazing closing remark, Ms. Maricar. So for now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, I guess everyone is like just typing away, putting all those keywords in our Facebook page. We have 4 raffle winners. Yes, 4 raffle winners. So drum roll, please. Ako na lang magda-drum roll. First one, Miss Ruby Ann Manalo. Kindly comment down below your email so that we can email it to you. Congratulations. The second one, Mr. John Cedric Ascano. Please please put your email there. Third one, Vida Rodriguez. Yes, congratulations. Nice. And the last one, Miss Ruan Kutauho. Congratulations to our 4 winners. Thank you guys for participating and being so active. We can also send you your e-certificates. Please don't forget your e-certificates for attending the session, of course. Here are the instructions on how to get them. So email a request to info@sprout.ph. Again, email a request to info@sprout.ph, and please indicate your full name, company, and position. Indicate your full name, company, and position so that we can email you your e-certificate for attending this event. Again, I am AD, your host for today. If you have any questions regarding Sprout Rescue Kit, you can actually email me, text me, and even reach out to Sprout. Okay. Thank you guys, and see you again in the next webinar. Goodbye.